Welcome to the call. We'll just give it a few more minutes to let people log on, and then we'll get started. So welcome on. I'm going to unmute everyone so that everyone can jump in if you have any questions. If you have any background noise, feel free to mute yourself. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome to Ideathon number 3 for the Community Heart Highland Park grant. I am Janelle Robinson, and my colleague Ann Ruffley is joining me on the call tonight. And we just want to talk about creating a fundable project. So you might have an idea. We just want to kind of go over, some tips and pointers that might help you with this process. And also we want to open it up for any questions that people may have. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the Community Heart Highland Park grant, some of you have participated in it before, but for those who haven't, this is a grant, a mini grant program that is $50,000 total. It's open to the residents of Highland Park, and let's actually just go over eligibility. The requirements, you have to request at least $250. It has to take place in and directly impact Highland Park, which we can talk about in a second. It has to involve the arts and engage the community in arts and culture. And it can include either the creation of a specific artistic product or program. You also are required to secure a match, and we can go over that a little bit more. And it has to take place between June 1st and December 1st of this year. So ArtOps is an arts management organization based in Southfield, Michigan. We created this program, Community Heart Highland Park. And this year we're partnering with the Highland Park Arts and Cultural Council to kind of help get the word out. Highland Park Arts and Cultural Council is an arm of the Highland Park Business Association. So it's actually a program that was created through them. So we want to get right in about telling your story, but let's maybe go back and talk about the match. Ann, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of touch on anything I may have missed?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Thursday. These weeks seem to be weirdly flying by. We're looking forward to getting your applications by the 20th of April. And to jump off of what Janelle was saying, yes, there is a match requirement that we have this year as last. This year, there's 3 tiers of a match requirement. The first tier being a 25% cash or in-kind match. So if you've never applied before or you've never received a grant before, you have to make a 25% match to whatever amount you're asking for. The next tier is 50%. If you have received funding once before in the CAP regranting program, you have to show a 50% match to whatever amount you're asking for. And then the third tier finally is 75%. So if you've applied and received funding both times previously in the last 2 cycles of CAP regranting, you have to make a 75% cash or in-kind match.
Yeah, and we want to stress the cash or in-kind part. So it could be a mix of both. Like if you have to do 75%, say you got 25% cash and 50% in-kind, that's totally fine. You can mix and match it. And then, Ann, do you want to talk about some examples of what an in-kind is?
Sure. So in-kind equates to the equivalent value of services or products that you are receiving for free. So for instance, if you want to do your activities at a community center, but they said, don't worry about actually paying us to use the community center space, you can just use it for free, that's in kind. So you want to make sure in your budget that you're showing the monetary value of whatever the goods or services are imparted towards you. Another example could be the expertise of someone else's time. So if you know someone, for example, that maybe has marketing experience professionally, but they're willing to give you a few hours worth of time to help you make a poster or a flyer or do a social media posting plan, but they don't they don't need to be paid for it. You would put in the equivalent value of their time into in-kind.
Okay, well, cool. Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing that. If I sound distracted, it's because I am. I'm trying to send over the Zoom links to a few people that weren't able to get it. So just sending that off. Okay. So so tonight we wanted to kind of get into how, how do you craft your story, like telling your story, how do you make your project fundable? What are we looking for that will get you, closer to your goal of actually doing your project? And there's a few things. If you look at the eligibility slide, it's really right here. It has to take place in Highland Park, and it also it needs to directly impact the residents of Highland Park. So right now, during the during the coronavirus, let me sound professional, COVID-19, we, are really hoping that we can kind of push people to be more creative. We're looking at, doing a lot of things remotely, or, whatever. We don't want to limit people. We want people to kind of, be as creative as possible. Also, the timeline of the grant is from June to December. So if you were to get the grant, if your project was funded, and maybe you were originally planning to start in June, but we still have restrictions and you needed to push it back to later on, we're definitely open and being flexible in that. So any questions before we kind of go forward?
Hey, Janelle.
Mm-hmm.
So the screen that I see is still Marion Hayden's video. I don't know if that's true for anyone else. I just want to make sure, because you have a nice slideshow. I just want to make sure we can see it.
Can you see it now?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm just pointing and clicking and talking. I didn't realize people couldn't see that. So, yeah. So this is the just the eligibility requirements. So again, like I was saying, it has to take place and directly impact the residents. So like I said, we're definitely open to being flexible for that for this year. Thank you so much, Anne, for that. So so if we have any other questions, or don't have any, I should say, we can kind of move on to the next thing. Is okay. Okay. So I'm gonna share my whole screen. I don't know, does this look okay for everyone? Can you see the slideshow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to talk about one of our previous applicants, the 48203 dance show. It was 2 applicants, Marcellus Armstrong and Jeff. What is Jeff's last name? Har or so? I can't.
Well, it's yeah.
It's really easy, and I always like make it super complicated. But anyway.
I know I'm losing. I can't remember it either. I'm looking it up.
Yeah. So we're going to let's see. Want to do this as a full screen. So this is the slideshow. So he created some graphics for it. And what we're going to look at is some of the criteria that we're looking at for this event. So keep in mind, of course, this is before everything happened, but he had, or they had one event like that would take place on one specific day, but they had activities that led up to that particular event. So it's, we do have events that are like a one-time thing, but this is kind of like a perfect combination of activities that support the community as well as, one big kind of community event. So this is kind of the ideal mashup of those two concepts. So this was a speaker creation workshop. So they had this gentleman come in and he taught people, how to create their own speakers and headphones. And it was a really cool system. He has all the wires and everything set up. And so he basically just, they brought in this gentleman, the guy, if you can see here, this is Jeff here. And they came in and they, just, had people show up at this particular venue. This is 333 Midland in Highland Park. owned by Robert Onis. And so this was on the other side of where they actually did the event. And they just had, a workshop, people from the community show up and just kind of learn. And so you look at different activities. This was the mosaic tile activity. So they were creating all of the parts of the dance show. What they were, kind of showing everyone is that it's not just, it was really cool. You turn it on your channel and it's like, oh, wow, people are dancing. But there was a specific steps and purpose, and there was a lot of preparation to get there. So this was the mosaic workshop, and that was kind of their final things that they created. This, of course, is the, the final product. And just a lot of cool community members coming out. And so going back to the slideshow, I wanted to play a video. Video is kind of bad on Zoom, but you should be able to hear it just fine, of an interview with the originator of the scene. And so we can talk about this once he is done. It's just about 3-minute video.
I was a singer since I could remember, but my voice changed. I said, well, I can't sing anymore. I'll go into interviewing the stars. But Mr. Harris in Pershing High School and Mr. Brown in Nolan Junior High School, I was a very good singer. Mr. Harris taught me how to count, how to read, score music. Mr. Harris encouraged me to join the dance class. I said, Mr. Harris, dance class, that's for girls, Mr. Harris. He says, no, Watkins, trust me. If you join the dance class, it'll help you with your music. And I thought about it. I said, well, it's got a lot of pretty girls there. We can't lose there. And I said, I can help my group with the steps. So here's, I'm gonna do it. Miss Reinicker was his teacher at high school. She taught me how to count better than I know with the music, because it's all counting. Mm-hmm. And once you learn how to count music and dance, then you get put on a very popular show called The Scene. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching different directors. I said, Dad, why did he do it like that? I said, how come he did it like that? Why did he do this? He says, just hold on, Jay, you're gonna have your turn one day. And one day, one director got fired, one director quit. I said, Jay, you got to direct the show. And so I learned a couple of banks, which ones did what. But when I directed the show, I would direct on the beat. I would dissolve on the string. And sometimes I would make a beat, okay? And so when you're watching the dance show or you're watching the scene, you're watching me count and you're watching me beat. And then when we started doing the mix, and when I started doing the mix live on the dance show, my DJ was next to me. Tell me all the secrets. Jessica Body. And I didn't know the song of those musics because I would hum it to him, play this one. And that was because I know the beats. And then when you know it's gonna 4, 8, 16, it's gonna be there. And then the music writer is gonna bring certain things in at a certain time, whether it's a string or a horn or something. And then I'll have the camera stand by one and wait for the string, and then I'll come off the floor into the person. And the person felt that at home. So when you shoot on the beat and you're directing to the beat, and then you got a master editor that can edit on the beat. Yes. Show us. The props might be ragged, but Dr. Banks taught me that. He says, don't worry about the props. The subject is the person. Mm-hmm. Let them see what you're doing. We'll get the money for the props later on.
All right, awesome. Thank you everyone for kind of watching that video. So Sydney, you had a question? Hi, Sydney. Can you hear me okay?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so did you have a question?
Not yet. I just got in.
Oh, you were just saying hi. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, just saying hi. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh wow, he raised his hand. Okay, cool. But it's all new for everybody. So, but I wanted to just highlight that video because the thing about that particular video is that that was R.J. Watkins that we heard speaking. And so he was the originator of the scene, and these two gentlemen wanted to kind of recreate it. So people who are coming almost outside of the community, if you will, they hold on one second. So the people who are coming out of outside of the community, maybe wanting to come into Highland Park and doing some work, to their credit, and actually the two gentlemen that did this project actually live there, but both of them took the time to kind of learn and understand the needs of the community and match it with their particular skill set. So I kind of muted everyone, but if you want to jump in, I'm going to unmute everyone to just kind of jump in. So, but Ann, did you want to talk about that a little bit before I went on?
No, I think you explained it really well. It was a lovely project among all of the projects that we were able to fund that year. And if I remember correctly, too, this dance show went on to be successful in an even larger way with other funders. So one of the nice things was that these applicants were able to take their project and this germ of a really great idea and leverage that to an even bigger platform. I believe they received a Knight Foundation grant to continue the work. Is that right, Janelle?
Yeah, and they also became Knight Arts Challenge finalists, and then they were featured. Their show was picked up. That interview actually with R.J. Watkins came at the DSO. The DSO wanted to pick up
they
picked up their project, and were able to kind of connect the history of the city of Highland Park with the new kind of activity that was going on there. So it was just a nice marriage of kind of old and new, but we do want to hear from everybody. I see Mr. Williams is on the call. Hi, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams.
Doing?
Hey.
I'm just.
Hey, Mr. Williams.
How's everybody doing?
We good. Is that your mask? That's your mask around your neck?
Yeah, I've been out in the field a little bit.
So, hey Cam.
Hey, I've been here. I didn't think I had the video thing on. I've been listening.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear from what are some of people's ideas that they're thinking about applying for. Does anyone want to jump in?
I want to do a phase 2 of the mural on Hamilton at Glendale on the side of that building.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cameron, we paid Cameron $5 under the table to ask questions, so we're waiting on him to ask his poignant question.
Well, what I was gonna ask was, I know for anybody who's like a first-time applicant or anything, just for example, because when I was reading over everything in the the packet for applying, I was just a little confused about the matching portion. So say I'm a first-time applicant and my idea like requires like, just for example, $2,000 or something. When it comes to like matching that, I forgot what the specific percentage was when you're applying, as a first-time person that you need to match with. But what does that really just mean, just for anyone confused, like how I was, like specifically, like I'm paying for the space, whatever I'm using, or like, could you just kind of further explain that?
Yeah, and let me see if I can pull up the budget from last time. We had this really cool thing that Ann did.
You want me to jump in, Janelle, to answer that question?
Yeah, go ahead while I try to get the budget on the screen.
Okay, so that's a really good question. So as a first-time applicant, you would have to make a 25% match. So if you're requesting $2,000, you have to match the $2,000 by with $500 because $2,000 times 25% is $500, and that
Mhm.
$500 would be listed in your revenue section of your budget, and it
Mhm.
could either be in the form of cash or in kind. So in other words, you could find a donor or a number of donors that could help you raise $500 in cash to do your project, or you may have in kind revenue, i.e. like a space rental. So instead of you having to pay someone or an event or a commute or a venue to host your activities, they may give it to you for free, but it may end up being the equivalent of $500. But
All
essentially,
right.
one of the goals with the match is that we want to help everyone leverage your network and your relationships, um, just so you can continue to build your family of supporters and advocates. So it just makes it easier down the line to, for any project that you want to make a reality, you have that circle of people around you that can help you do that. Because one of the things we wouldn't want to happen is that anyone becomes so dependent just on grants funding, just because the nature of it is so competitive. Does
Yeah.
that make
Oh, sorry, Ann. I'm just jumping in.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And so, Ann, I put up on the screen the budget that you did from last week, your like kind of sample budget. So did you want
Oh
to
yeah.
just briefly talk about like how you create your budget, how you start from the bottom and go to the top?
Yeah, so last week, and I think it's available for anyone to listen to this last week's session that wants to, but basically what we did was we went over this budget document because it can be a little bit confusing. And also, so again, you have till April 20th to apply. So if you want to send Janelle or myself, a sample of your budget, we can help guide you in the right direction. Just as an aside for anyone that wants that, we're happy to do that. But yeah, just briefly with the budget sample that we had prepared, I had posed a scenario of a project that I wanted to do, which were live musical performances that tied to literacy and language arts, reading. And so what I did was I started with expenses, which is what I typically do, because for me, it's easier to start with expenses to know how much I have to spend to then to decide how much money I need to raise and how much I want to ask for.
Yeah, so this is a kind of sample budget that she made for us last week. So these were like the total expenses here. And then she, went on to the revenue streams of where the money would be coming from. So it was I do encourage everyone to listen to it. It's on our Facebook page and also our YouTube channel. But I can send out an email to everyone on this call as well. And then I think everyone is unmuted. So if anyone has any, the kids, if anybody has any questions about that. So Cam, did you have, you know this is being recorded too as you drink out of this giant water jug. But
Oh, I didn't think y'all could see that.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you could see me. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, but if anyone else had any questions, I know Miss Wyndham is on here and she's went through the program before. So did you want to share any thoughts, Tanisha, or any new like ideas for this year? And she's also muted, so I'm gonna
I don't
unmute.
know if she's still there.
She's there.
Hello.
Sorry, you were muted. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
I
Hi,
don't
Linda.
I don't really have any reflection or ideas or really any feedback from last year other than it was a tremendous experience, and we're just thankful to ArtOps, Community Heart, the Erb Family Foundation for making this opportunity available. I would just say be as creative as you can and enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm. Now, Miss
There
Wyndham,
you go.
have you found it to be, because what we were hoping with this grant, our initial hopes were to take, this opportunity and kind of prepare you to look at bigger opportunities. And not that we are small potatoes by no means, but
No.
but we were hoping to offer other, just support, helping with the grant writing. Like, have you found that to be helpful at all, or is there anything you think we should work on this year as far as like helping you prepare?
I think the webinars are very helpful. The Ideathons are very helpful. The staff support, such as yourself, is very helpful. I can't really think of anything more
That's great.
other than maybe grant funding announcements, maybe from other funders like the Knight Foundation.
Yeah, and if you sent out something yesterday about artists first, and I wonder if you wouldn't mind putting that into the chat.
Yes, I'm actually pulling up this link right now. So it's the artistrelief.org. It's a new program they just announced yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a consortium of national foundations and other agencies that are coming together to help address the need, financial need for artists such as yourselves. And so they're distributing $5,000 grants. So I will include this link in this chat, and I'm sure we'd be happy to send out others. But that could be something certainly to keep in mind, even as you're putting your budget together. So in applying to our CAP regranting program, if you know there are other resources you want to apply for the same project, like that's perfectly fine.
Wow.
If anything too, that could help not only you, but also help the panel better understand the scope of the project. So if it's a much bigger project, it's certainly okay to apply for it or for a different phase of that same project to another funder. And maybe Artist Relief is one avenue to do that. That's one of them. There's many, I'm sure, out there. But
Yeah, and so Sydney, I think this will be your first time, applying or considering applying. Did you want to talk about, like the project itself and like maybe how you're hoping we can support if possible this year?
Well, yeah. So for some reason, my phone rung and it kind of dropped. I can hear you guys, but I can't see anything.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to get back on the link, but I can hear you guys. I don't know what I did to get back on here.
Oh, but we can hear you fine.
But
yeah, that's the most important part.
No, he just okay. There you go.
There you go. Go ahead. What were
all
you
new to me. This way. Yeah, here we go. We're back on. We're back on. Yeah. So, can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
Hello. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep. And see you. Your mouth's moving and everything.
Yeah, I can hear
you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to do some things that's a little bit different. I put on a centennial a few years ago to thank all the years, witness to 100 years, and I had a lot of. Well, I'm a musician. Used to be rather. Play the trumpet. Do all Highland Park systems, and I actually put on a years ago when my mom was instrumental in the band. We put on a summer program for youth in music. So we're trying to do some things and bring back some of the musicians who once played for Highland Park. I spoke to a few of the bands. They want to come back and we can put something on this summer. if this summer ever happens or whenever, you know,
Right.
things get back in order. We have some pretty big plans. I kind of mapped it out in the packet that I sent to you guys. And we just want to get back to Park. I mean, Parliament Funkadelics and a lot of these other bands wouldn't have never been who they were if it wasn't for Highland Park, because we were their band, you know, behind the scenes of George Clinton and the rest of them. So, you know, the recording, third grade, we're trying to bring it back into the school system. And it's kind of difficult, you know, finances is different. And things are just different now. You know, you didn't have to go through all this back in the day, but nowadays you have to really, really fight for what you want. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to do, is bring back this music division back in Highland Park, and I think I can do it. I got some people that's offered to the school board, as well as they love the idea of trying to get these kids back into music. We're trying to get if this high school plan goes down, we definitely can get music up in there. We got a few band directors that's willing to get on board, that's from Highland Park. You know, it's a process.
Yeah.
And this that I'm trying to get into with you guys, and I love this Zoom webinar. This is different. You know, to not be in a room with you guys, but I'm with you guys. That's kind of different. But that's pretty much who I am and what's going on with me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing. And, you know, to talk about Zoom and what we're doing, you know, it's really important when our offices kind of shut down, like March, like maybe the third week of March, and towards the end of the second week of March. That was the last day I was there anyway. And, you know, it was important to me, and it's important to our team, that we continue to support artists as much as we can. So we wanted to go forward with having, you know, the grant and keeping the same, you know, dates and parameters, and, you know, as much as we can keep it the same, because, you know, so many, like we went from, you know, 100 miles an hour to a dead stop as far as performing arts. And today, you know, with the announcement that, you know, no social gatherings of any size are allowed, you know, we have to keep that in mind with whatever we're creating, but at the same time, we want to support artists. So, you know, utilizing tools like Zoom, there's a lot of other stuff. You know, I was trying to go on Facebook Live with this, and I always end up giving up because it's kind of difficult, but no, it's not. But there's, you know, as much as we can educate ourselves on whatever, you know, we learn at ArtOps, we're going to pass it on to you, you know, who, you know, are applicants or just Highland Park residents or interested in supporting the arts there, because we definitely want to keep people, you know, engaged. And because everyone is online right now, this is a great platform to use. So,
Can I just jump in?
I kind of really hated that the arts in Highland Park, you know, because our school systems kind of went a different route. Highland Park was so huge in the music industry, you know, by me playing an instrument and going through all the steps of playing, you know, went to college playing an instrument. It helped my scholarship base out, you know. I got money for that. And it's just like the arts is coming up missing, and a lot of these kids can't get to college because they don't have too many skills in that form, arts, music, vocal, or something like that. And the program that I put on with that centennial, it allowed a lot of the youth. I mean, we had a lot of youth show up at the centennial. We had gospel rappers, regular rappers. We had Lee Brothers. They performed. This young man I met at Myers, street corner music. He played the trombone.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, this young guy rocked the entire audience. He was almost the highlight of the whole show because, you know, I said, man, let me pay you to do this. He said, no, I can do it for free. I said, no, let me pay you for your arts, man. And he did a wonderful job. He brought a couple of guys with him, and they threw down. And a couple of other bands, a couple of white bands showed up. And everybody, we just had a jam session. It was real nice.
You know, thank you, Sydney. I just want to jump in on that too. And I know Ann had a thought about, you know, artist fees and including that into, you know, the grant. So Ann, did you want to jump in on that?
Oh yeah, you read my mind. I was just gonna say, for all of you, just remember to make sure your artist fees are included in your budget.
Yeah, I
We
have mine in
we
there.
we highlighted that in the session last week, but it's so important. And not only your fees and your time as an artist, but as an administrator as well. So particularly if you're a visual artist, let's say, and you want to create something, there's admin time that goes into you planning something as well as actually sitting down and creating it. So I just wanted to, again, friendly reminder to make sure you're including your own artist fees in your budgets. Because the panel
Yeah,
was
I
definitely
put mine
looking
in
out for that last year, and sometimes in some cases wondering, like, why didn't they have artist fees in there for themselves? So
Yeah, well,
Well,
thank you.
the artists that I had, I had like 5 or 6 bands, and I made sure I paid all of them for doing what they did, and it helped them out with their program, and it definitely put on a good show for us. So yeah, artist fees is a plus. You got to have that.
Well, thank you all so much, for being on this call. I feel like we're trying our best to make sure we cover. Next week is the last Ideathon. It's also the last kind of weekend, if you will, that you have to write the grant next weekend. So if people are interested in maybe just sending their grant, like what they have so far, even if it's just like the, oh, we didn't go over that, to just find out where to find the grant. Let's do that here. So this here is the link that will take you to our website to find the grant. And that's a great picture of the Community Heart Highland Park. Community Heart, yes, no, Highland Park Arts and Cultural Council, sorry. And this is a list of all of our past award recipients. And then this is a cool flyer. I always have to show the flyer because I worked really hard on it. And Cameron Jenkins, he actually designed it as well. I'm just so proud of my thing. Anyway, so that gives you all the information on there. And then let's go back to the website again. And so here, you are able to download the application. So if you're a non-individual, like you're a business, so Mr. Williams, you would be filling out probably this one, or collective, if you have a few different artists that want to work together on something, you would be downloading that one. If you're individual independent artist, so Cameron, if you were applying for application, you would be filling this one out. And then if you don't have Word, or maybe you've written everything out, you can go to this link here, and Anne Ruffley created this really cool form online where you can just type in, I'm an individual or I'm an organization, and just fill out the form directly. This form does not save, so it's best to copy and paste and submit, right? Because there'll be tears otherwise. So just know that. But there's no word limit for this, like there's no word count limit. But what I was gonna ask, since we have quite a few people on, and we hopefully will have more people listening later, and since we have a week and everybody at home basically, if you want to submit part of your grant to us, just so we can help you edit it, how the grants are selected, Anne and myself, we're kind of like the coaches, if you will. We help you flesh out your idea, tell you work on this part, take that out, add that, and just help you develop that idea. But then it's sent to a neutral third-party panel, and that panel more than likely has never heard of you or seen your grant. They don't know anything about your idea. We do have some Highland Parkers on that committee, as well as some people from the grant world and from the arts world in general, performing arts. So they have a lot of experience with looking at grants. The Highland Parkers have a good idea of what's needed in the community, and then they select which projects should be funded, and then we assign dollar amounts based on how many projects have been funded. So, so that means that you probably won't get everything that you ask for as far as financially, but we will do our best to support whatever gaps may be there. But in this part here, the section 3, this narrative about the description of your grant, why is it important, you know, any partners and stuff, whatever parts, like if you have questions about your budget, if you want to submit that right now, the timeline is important, but it's definitely written in pencil. It's going to be flexible as all get out, but we do want to have an idea of how long you're trying to, you know, think about what the project is and then execute it. We do want to have an idea of that. But if you want to send this to us, I'll keep trying to say as I cut myself off. If you want to send this to us ahead of time, we can take a look at it and give you feedback, because we have basically a week, you know, between now and the next Ideathon, just to kind of give you some feedback and help you refine your idea. Let you know if there's any pieces missing. So nobody is trying to call me at 11:53 on April 19th, because I'm not going to be available. I'm sorry. The grant is.
Just to jump into that. So feel free, I know, and well, at least for myself, feel free to send it to my email. And those email addresses are on the ArtOps website. I know for me, it would be a quicker response via email.
Yeah.
But yes, we are happy to. And I think for a few people already, we've sent some feedback about things that they may have forgotten to include so far. So we're happy to take a look.
Yeah, and just also, this is not a essay writing contest, just to emphasize that. As long as you can articulate what your idea is clearly, that's really the most important part. So if we go back to the 48203 dance show, their story, well, that's me and Ann, that's Ann. Hi, Ann.
An old picture of
Exactly
me.
like that right now. Look, my hair is perfect.
Totally, in a whole like forest of flowers, totally.
Yes, but the thing about compelling, you know, telling your story, most of the grant writing process is, you know, writing and expressing what your need is in a compelling way, to the point where other people will want to give you money for it. So you have to think about, you know, the who, what, when, where, and how. Like, what are you trying to do? When are you trying to do it? How are you trying to do it? Where and to whom and with whom? And why? Why is this important to the community right now? And
yeah, I was gonna say the impact piece. I would argue is even one of the biggest themes. In making a successful case in terms of panel response. I mean, artistry and impact, I would vouch for in particular. And also just sort of conveying in your story that sense of urgency and why your project is important to do right now.
yeah, for sure. So those things are, you know, really important. Like I said, you know, we have time now. And I don't know if Ann's on 10. Ann is usually on 10 because she does all of the grant writing for all of our clients. We have about 15 different clients. So usually her schedule is on 10, but I think it's on about 9.5. So if you have a question that you'd like to slip into her, you know, about whatever, you know, your project is, feel free to do so, or budget questions.
Yeah.
And I, you know, am available for like the project development part and collaboration. We have emphasized that, and we're still trying to do it even in this kind of social distancing time. But if you know, have an idea and it sounds great, but maybe it's almost too big for you, if that makes sense, and you wanted some help, or you wanted to think about someone who could help you achieve it, or if you're like Cameron is a painter, right? And if he wanted to do something that involved dance, you know, he could come to me and say, you know, I want to incorporate multiple disciplines. I can probably connect him with someone, because my job is a, you know, a networker, if you will. So, and also connecting with different businesses in the city of Highland Park. So, but
yeah, I think, you know, just dreaming big.
yes.
And even, you know, maybe that sort of dream project you've been waiting to do for a while. and combining disciplines that may not seemingly go together, I'm sure Janelle can find someone to connect you to that.
Yeah, for sure. And but yeah, in the meantime, does anyone have any kind of closing remarks or questions?
It looks like some people are on mute. I'm not sure though, so I don't know if they do.
Oh yeah, thank you, because I did do that. I felt so bad last week. I was like, how come nobody's saying anything? And I had muted everybody on the and I was like, well, okay. So we like wrapped up, and then it was like, and then right when I hit like end meeting, I hear somebody go, hello. I was like, oh. But no worries. I got in touch with her. We worked it out. I've been forgiven. But if anyone has any last minute thoughts or questions, Mr. Williams jumping in and out of cars, he hit a whole different, vehicle. But yeah. Hey, Miss Janet.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Did you have any thoughts?
Not right now. This is real interesting. Not right now.
Okay. Well, thank you. I know we probably should get in touch with her because she's a master gardener, and we all probably need to learn how to plant some food.
Oh. I've seen some really cool projects in the past where people do like live concerts or some sort of artistic demonstrations in gardens. So
Wow.
you never know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that could be a cool mashup for some of the music stuff and gardening, but you know,
Wow.
there's no limit other than the 50,000, and you can't ask for. I did not say it this time. I took the slide out, but there's a slide that says "Do not ask," and I will say this is our disclaimer: do not ask for the full 50,000, and don't ask for $49,999. Like it'll be an automatic disqualification. So, but we definitely are here and available. If you don't have my cell, you know, you can. There's my email here, so feel free to email me to get it. I don't want to put it on this recording, but that I'm definitely available throughout the day till about 6 o'clock. So if you have any questions, feel free to call, text, or email. But with that, I will wrap it up. We've been on here for a good little while, so I thank you all so much for your time. And do you have any closing thoughts?
Just thank you all very much, and I put some links in the chat box. Hopefully people can see those for independent artist resources. And yeah, reach out to us, let us know how you're doing and feeling, and we really can't wait. I can't wait to see what ideas come in. So
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, you had a question?
Yes, this is on record. We can play it back at our leisure.
Yes, sir. It's probably, it takes me forever to upload. I shouldn't say that on the thing, but anyway, it does take a little while to save it to YouTube and upload it, but
Okay.
it will be uploaded to Facebook. And what I think I might do is just send out an email with the 3 recordings, because we have the first one, which is just general information. The second one was really great about the budget. So I think that's probably what I'll do. Once we have it all together tomorrow, I'll send out an email with 3 of the links so you can listen to them at your leisure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's a
you.
good idea.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening.
Be
Okay.
safe, everybody.
Be safe, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.